Hey everybody, how are you guys? I hope you guys are good. So I want to talk about Rudy Farias for a few minutes. This case is just so freaking bizarre, I gotta say. So Rudy went missing, or was reported missing, 8 years ago when he was 17 years old. His mom said he took the dog out for a walk and was never seen or heard from again. Well, the neighbors had been seeing him around all these years, so they didn't even know he was missing, which is bizarre because I saw a billboard. I mean, it's weird that detectives be going in and out of this house and the neighbors didn't know, so I'm super confused about all of that. But let me read this to you. Janie Santana, which is Rudy's mom, of Houston, Texas, filed a missing persons report after she said her 17-year-old son took the dogs for a walk and never came back. The boy, Rudy, had been missing for 8 years when he was found and identified slumped over outside of a church several weeks ago. But neighbors said they were confused because they'd seen that person around Santana's home for years. It was a shock to them that the boy was missing. Rudy eventually told investigators that his mother had actually been keeping him captive inside their home. She gave him hallucinogenic, made him sleep in bed with her, play daddy, and forced him to have with her. Farias was found with blood in his hair, showing obvious signs that he had been abused and beaten. Bizarre, right? It gets even more bizarre. Now let me read this to you. Okay, during the 8 years, police received tips and leads that indicated Farias was not missing. Lieutenant Christopher Zamora said in the news conference many of these facts included contact and statements with relatives, friends, and medical professionals. Again, people all stating throughout these years that he was not missing. This is bizarre. From 2015 to 2023, police said Farias spoke with officers, but he used fake names and date of births, which misled officers. Like, this is super strange. Both Janie, Rudy's mother, and Rudy himself gave fictitious names while interacting with various patrol officers, Zamora said. Janie continued to deceive police by remaining adamant that Rudy was still missing. Police said Farias and his mother were interviewed Wednesday. The investigation is ongoing. Police said Farias is staying with his mother by choice, Zamora said on Thursday. Janie Santana, Farias' mother, alleged that her nephew was the person friends and family were seeing at the house, not her son. Police said that was not true. The Texas Center for Missing shared this statement on behalf of the family when Farias was found. We want to thank the media and public for all their support. My son Rudy was found on Thursday, June 29th, after being missing for 8 years. Currently, we do not have any additional information on Rudy's case. What we do know is at the time of his recovery, a Good Samaritan located him unresponsive and immediately called police and 911. My son Rudy is receiving the care he needs to overcome his trauma, but at this time, he is nonverbal and not able to communicate with us. We are asking for privacy during this difficult time, but we'll share more details as Rudy continues to heal. Okay, mom's a real winner. Police said the district attorney has declined any charges at this time for making false reports, which is also super weird, right? Investigators have reached out to Adult Protective Services, Zamora said. We've also connected Rudy with victim services to ensure that he has a method to recover. Zamora said Farias did not disclose allegations of sexual abuse in interviews with authorities. If there is a disclosure made, we will continue to investigate. Farias is 25. He was 17 when he was reported missing. Let's see. Okay. After news broke that Farias was found, Santana's neighbors, who never knew Farias was reported missing, said Farias had been living with Santana for years. Keisha Ross, who lives on the same street as Santana, according to the civil court records obtained by KTRK, told the station Farias would hang out with her family often. He used to come in my garage, chill with my cousin, son, and daughter, Ross told the station. That boy has never been missing. It's weird. Farias' family said they saw him in 2018. Houston police spokesman John Cannon told USA Today Wednesday that Farias' family contacted investigators in 2018. The family said Farias was staying on the property of one of the family members. Weird. Okay. Now, man was not missing for 8 years, as mother claimed, the Houston police say. A man who okay, I just read that part. Farias' aunt told CBS affiliate KHOU that his mother was a mess in the wake of her son's alleged return. Speaking to the station several years ago, Farias' family said they were concerned that he may have been abducted. He has such a huge heart. He loves with all of his heart. Farias' mother told KHOU 1 year after his disappearance, that's why we know he wouldn't just get up and go on his own. But neighbors who said they have spent time with Farias since he supposedly vanished have questioned the family's story and whether or not he truly disappeared. Quanell X, a community activist based in Houston, he wasn't a neighbor, he was a community activist based in Houston, also spoke to news outlets, including CBS affiliate KHOU, in the wake of Farias' apparent return home this week, saying he met Farias Wednesday after Farias' mother, Janie Santana, asked him to come to the hotel in Humble, where they were meeting with investigators. The activist cast doubts on the accuracy of his family's story. This is a developing story. Please check back for details. Okay. Now, I found this on Twitter. I found this very interesting. This whole thing is just freaking strange. A lot of it doesn't make any sense. Okay, but it says, Rudy Farias was beneficiary to his brother Charlie's life insurance policy. Aunt claims it is her understanding Rudy would have to be missing for 3 years before anyone else could receive payout. Rudy has not received anything from that policy. So, what's going on here? Is this mom some lunatic who wanted her son to play daddy, so she held him hostage in her home, hid him away from investigators, and just did awful things to him? Is she so she could collect that money, that insurance money? Because he'd have to be missing for years in order for it to go transfer over to somebody else. Which again, this is so strange. So strange. There's so many lies being told. You don't know who to believe. You don't know what the hell's going on. Just a lot of craziness. Okay. And then I'll go over to that. Let's see. The neighbor said Janie Santana, Rudy's mom, has been leaving her house just after midnight. That's when the neighbor said he called 911. There has been a police presence in the neighborhood ever since. What were they expecting? They gave her a chance to do that. Yeah. Now, this is important. I say we call for an arrest in the Rudy Farias case ASAP. Contact the DA's office if you think that this woman should be arrested, because no charges have been filed, which filing a false police report is against the law. She filed a false police report, said her son was missing for 8 years, right? All the donations that they got, all the yada yada yada. That's illegal. Why hasn't she been arrested? So, if you think that this woman should be arrested, please contact the DA's office via email at da@dao.hctx.net. Her name is Kim Ogg, OGG. You can call at 713-274 5800. Harris County District Attorney's Office, 1201 Franklin Street, Suite 600, Houston, Texas, 77002-1923. Okay, and then I'm going to switch over to this so we can play these videos for you guys. What do you think? I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below.
His mother.
Okay, fireworks questions.
So you've been here with Rudy and his mother?
For a few hours, yes.
What are the conversations like?
Let me first apologize for my appearance. I received an emergency phone call to get over here for this meeting with the detectives, Rudy's mother and Rudy. And so I dropped everything I was doing and made it as fast as I possibly could. And I spent about an hour and 20 minutes one-on-one with Rudy and with one of the detectives. I heard horrific things from that young man. And I did not want him to see me start shedding tears, but I couldn't hold back the tears because of the things he was saying to us, the detective and myself. No child should ever be treated like that by your own mother. This young man said that when he initially ran away, he came back 2 days later, and she told him that he had to hide, that he was going to get in trouble, and they were going to arrest him for running away, and that he had to continue hiding. And so she hid him out for a while, then brought him back to the house and hid him in the home. And initially, whenever the investigators would come, she would hide him in the house. And he kept saying, I don't want her to go to prison. I don't want her to get in trouble. I don't want her to go to jail. And so we asked him, why did you run away? And he said he just got tired of her not respecting his boundaries. And she said that he wanted his own life. And his exact word was, I was tired of living like a slave. She would take him to work with her, and he would do the required work she was supposed to do. And a lot of the responsibility of her job was on him. And he went on to say that what troubled him the most was her crossing his personal space boundaries. He said that she would make him sleep in the bed with her. And he said that she made him play daddy. He said that he didn't like getting in the bed with her, that he would try to sneak out of the bed and sometimes hide under the bed, but she told him he had to be her husband. That's a damn shame, man. A little boy said she was the one providing drugs to him for years. Hallucination drugs, mushrooms, etc. And that the reason why he was left, he was just tired of her crossing his boundaries. When he would shower, she would come and pull the shower curtain back and stare at him, and then she would make him bathe her with the soap. And he ran away this time because he was tired.
Well, now you've been doing this for many years. How emotional has today been with this case?
It's a goddamn shame. I ain't never in my life heard of a mother doing to a child what this woman did.
all there when the mother was questioned?
Yes.
And what was her reaction when
Yes.
you talked to her?
And I knew something was wrong with the story. When she was questioned, when they found him, he had her credit card in his pocket. She just canceled that credit card 2.5 years ago. So if he's been missing for 8 years, how the hell he get your credit card in his pocket when they found him from 2.5 years ago? And he said to us that she gave him that credit card so he could go and buy her certain things.
But with the other allegations, what was her response to those allegations?
She hadn't even heard them because we had to remove her from the room.
But so she hasn't been questioned about that.
Can you describe her demeanor and his demeanor during questioning?
When she was in the room, he wouldn't say nothing. He wouldn't say one word when she was in the room. But the minute she left the room and we were allowed to talk to a young man, and he asked, he said, "Can I speak with Mr. X by myself? Can I talk to Cornell by myself?" And the detective was like, "Well, can one of us stay in the room?" And he was like, "Okay, but I'll talk to him." When she left, when he first came here, he was holding on to her. He wouldn't talk to her. He wouldn't say one word to anybody. Like he was petrified. But the minute he got alone by himself, he slowly calmed down and he slowly began to talk very coherently and specific details.
This is a man in his mid-20s. People might wonder, why not run away from this situation? Why not get yourself out of it? Did he give you any explanation about that?
I honestly believe, based on what he said to us, she was drugging the hell out this kid. And she convinced him that he was in trouble for initially running away, and that law enforcement wanted to arrest him and put him in jail for running away. She had convinced him that all type of agencies were looking for him to put him in jail.
He was in plain sight, according to you, in that he would take her to work.
No, he would go to work with her.
Right. He
He would stay at the job
She
with
would
her.
take him to work. Where did she work, and where was he doing this
It was
work?
it was some kind of security job or something like that. Where they were at, I don't know, but it was a security type job, a nighttime security watch type job.
How did he end up in church?
We still can't. He admit that he had took mushrooms. Okay, and 2 weeks before this, or a week, maybe not even official, whole 2 weeks, her car was stolen. Okay, when her car was stolen, she didn't know how the car was stolen, but the keys were in the car, and he stole the car. That's when he got into the accident in the car, and it was him that got into the accident in that car.
What was the story? I mean, this is 8 years he was reported missing. What's the story that he's been? I spoke to neighbors who said he went by adult, but he never kind of told anyone what happened. What was his story?
Because she had convinced him that he was in so much trouble for initially running away, and she gave this boy serious drugs to the point to where this boy needs extensive professional help.
How did he stay missing for so long? I mean, 8 years.
He was allowed to visit with some of the neighbors under an assumed name. She believed that after so many years, people had forgotten about the case, and that under an assumed name, and convinced him to use that name, nobody would put two and two together.
But he never told any of the people that he was with what was happening?
Never told anybody what was going on. And let me say this. That young man's body have scars all over it. Slice wounds from here, from which was forearm to his wrist. All type of scars on this kid. And he said that she often locked him in the room, that she would give him drugs and lock him in the room. And there's a whole lot of mental health issues there, I believe, induced because of the drugs that this young man was getting.
Well, at any point during this process today, did you see the mother detained by HPD?
They took her to another room and kept her there for a minute after he had confided with us what was said. I know they were on the phone with the DA's office and their superiors about this case, but I want everybody to know something. This young boy was not kidnapped by some strangers and he got away and they found him. That's not the case here.
You know, this happened on Thursday, and we're nearly a week later, and investigators waited almost a week to speak to him. Hearing the story that you heard, is it a concern that they waited this long to hear from him, given the story that you were told? It seems like he's had 8 years of dealing with this, and now another week.
I was shocked that they have not done more. I was shocked that they had not executed a search warrant on the home. I was shocked by that. And I said, don't you all think you need to get busy and execute a search warrant on that home? And the young man made it crystal clear to us that that's where he was, in the house. But he was living under this fake assumed name.
You think police failed in this situation?
Oh, big time. No doubt about it. Absolutely they did. Because there were several instances where calls were made about him to law enforcement, and they did not properly follow up and follow through based on the history of that address, because she hadn't changed addresses.
Some residents were saying this morning that she brought bags and she was trying to leave. Do we know something about
She was
that?
trying to do what?
She was trying to leave the house. She was trying to leave the house?
She did leave the house.
So she was trying
And
to escape?
she did leave the house, and she was trying to get away from the house, yes.
Why was she at this hotel?
She said she felt that she was not safe going home because she had been receiving threats.
What now? Is the police investigation over? Where are they?
I can't say what state their investigation is. But what I can say, it ain't no way in hell that woman shouldn't be locked up immediately, and that boy needs to go to the best drug rehab and best psychological mental health facility that we can find for him. He's a good kid. He's a good kid. That kid was just severely abused.
And what was the mother's reaction when you brought these stories to her?
I couldn't go back in the presence at that point. The police felt it was just best that she and I not speak again
Does she,
because I was bitter.
is she aware of these that the son told you?
Yes, she's aware. And then she goes back in there and tries to tell him, and she don't even know that was recorded. Tell him that you made it all up. That it was just a lie.
You said she would ask him to play daddy. Can you just she was sexually abused?
She would ask him to play daddy. She told him that he had to be the husband. She would force him to sleep in the bed with her. And he was forced to sleep at times in the beds with no clothes on.
Was anything
And
physically done?
yes, but I don't want to talk about the kissing and all of that stuff. And
But he was telling you that there was some sort of sexual action that was happening between
let
him
me
and
ask you a question. If your mother tongue kissing you in the bed with her naked, what the hell is that? I mean, damn, do we have to go that far? That's what happened. This is sick.
Juanel, do you
This
think,
ain't normal. This is sick.
Juanel, if these allegations are true, and I understand the position you're in, if they are true, how long before you think there's an arrest?
Based on what that young man said to me in front of the detective, I don't see why she's not in handcuffs right now. I don't see why she's not in handcuffs right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recently identified as having previous HPD interactions, meaning that he made contact with patrol officers out on the street. However, during these contacts, fictitious names and date of births were given, misleading the officers, and Rudy would remain missing. In fact, both Janie, Rudy's mother, and Rudy himself gave fictitious names while interacting with various patrol officers. The mother, Janie, continued to deceive police by remaining adamant that Rudy was still missing. She alleged her nephew was the person friends and family were seeing coming and going. However, we disputed that. Currently, the DA has declined any charges at this time for making fictitious reports and failure to ID. Now, based on Rudy's interview, there were no reports of sexual abuse reported. If there is a disclosure made, we will continue to investigate. Currently, the investigation is active and there are new leads coming in. We'll continue to follow those leads.
For probable cause. I'm trained to listen for statements that can help me get charges or move forward with the case. And no, there was no statements made during this investigation so far. No.
Thank you. Next question. Go ahead, Maria.
Wait
a minute. Go ahead.
I want to get
We get it.
clarification on this, Chief. There's a key word there. You said there was no reports of sexual abuse. Is that correct, sir? What you said?
That is correct, coming from
Okay.
Rudy Farris.
Was there any conversations about a sexual relationship between the mother and the son?
So we don't release any type of information related to sexual assault. That's just state law. I
Okay.
can't comment on that.
Go ahead.
Is Rudy a victim then in all of this, or did he cause, did he and his mother work together? I mean, he wasn't missing.
The investigation is still going on accordingly, and I'm not going to say that he's a victim or not. I'm thinking, and saying we're going to treat this just as we do with any potential victim or victim, and we're going to give respect to everybody that's involved. We're going to conduct our investigation, and we're kind of right at the beginning of it. This investigation is going to go on after this press conference.
What's next? Do we see any charges?
If charges are appropriate, they'll see, but let us conduct the investigation. And what's next, Courtney, just as any other investigation, we're going to follow our evidence. We're going to do more interviews and we're going to follow the evidence. And I think that's important. Go ahead.
Chief, can you say, were there any signs of mental illness, that he might be mentally ill, that his mother might be mentally ill?
We're not going to say that right now. Anyway, we're going to conduct the investigation. It's really too early to determine that. There are going to be some more parts to the investigations, and you know, some.
We found out from a neighbor that apparently his mother, who police are trying to track down, was spotted in the neighborhood here last night, just after midnight. A neighbor claims that he saw her drive towards her house right here that you see right here. And then as soon as she saw him, she got spooked and drove off. That's when that neighbor called 911, and that's why you see police here this morning. We're following the very latest. Stay with us.
Okay, so the police said that they said that Quanell is lying, that they never heard anything about abuse, sexual abuse, or anything like that. What I was saying earlier about filing a false police report and it being illegal, at the very least, they can arrest her for that so they can investigate his claims. That woman should be behind bars for what she did to her child. That woman needs to be arrested, locked up, and never let out again. I mean, this is just, what a piece of crap that woman is. She needs to be locked up for the rest of her life. And hey, if they don't have any evidence right now of that sexual abuse, of that assault, then they need to get it together. They're cops, they're detectives, for a reason. Investigate that crap. Why is she a free woman? People need to demand for her arrest, because I've never heard of such a thing. She made him wash her in the shower. She made him play daddy. She made him do her work. She made him just do unspeakable things. It's amazing. I am blown the frick away that she is not locked up right now. That she has not been arrested and no charges have been filed. This makes zero sense to me. What do you guys think?